I'm excited to do this part 8 of my Can We Trust Recruiting Rankings video series because that's another SEC team. But not only that, it's because this team is a prime example of, you know, developing talent who were, undervalued or overlooked because of what they were, and always tends to come out successful and always giving bigger teams big trouble. Even if they don't have the best record, they still go to bowl games, have a solid year every year. And I'm talking about the Arkansas Razorbacks. Uh, Brett Bielema does a great job of going out to recruit these guys and like developing them and building up, especially on the offensive line. And just in general, this team always tends to surprise us. Players sometimes come out of nowhere, guys who are really productive. Maybe not the most talented guys, maybe not even necessarily the future NFL stars per se, but these guys come in and they compete and they're giving teams trouble and they beat teams. I'm sure LSU has felt the brunt of Arkansas trouble over the last few years or so, and many others. Arkansas giving Ole Miss trouble. Arkansas even gives Alabama trouble. And you're thinking, well, why? These guys, they're not that talented. Their ratings aren't high. But like I said, this is just an example of the flaw. And so I really like Arkansas. Just being the fact that the state of Arkansas doesn't always produce top flight talent. You don't see rivals, ESPN scouting 24/7, sending all their camps to Arkansas. Usually players from Arkansas probably would have to go to Texas or maybe Louisiana, to Georgia, move out to go to these other camps where they can get noticed and maybe people will see them. But you don't see coaches going out of their way to fly to Arkansas to watch prospects. This is not what's known as a hotbed. But I'll just jump right into it. So in the 2013 class, Arkansas fans, you're going to find a lot of these guys familiar. And people who just watch Arkansas, played against Arkansas, you'll find a lot of these guys familiar based on, I almost thought 2013. I'm actually going to do 2012. I forgot I had that year too. But you're going to find these guys familiar because they were stars. They put in solid work, or you heard their name on CBS when uh, games are being done. But starting out, I'll do Jeremy Sprinkle, the tight end, was considered one of the best tight ends in the SEC this past year and the previous year. Big guy who can catch, run, and block. Three-star consensus prospect by Rivals, Scout, ESPN, and 24/7. Uh, Three-star consensus prospect, but one of the best tight ends in the league. You got Deatrich Wise, a pass rusher for Arkansas. I think this year he ended up having more of a kind of a what you would call it, more of a backup role, but he still plays many guys yards. But he played a little bit more last year too. But talented guy, three-star prospect according to Rivals. Scout was the only stat that gave him a four-star, and that was a low one. ESPN three-star, 24/7 a three-star. Interesting. And then you had Jarrett Collins for this Arkansas team. Had uh, quite a few. I was they started quite a few games. I think especially this last year, I believe in the defense. It was in defensive backfield, but three-star prospect according to Rivals, three-star prospect according to Scout, two-star according to ESPN, and a three-star according to 24/7 Sports. Like I said, these guys are undervalued at times, and it's really weird to see it happen. JaMychal Winston, also a member of the defensive line. I think he played defensive end. Starter, actually. Three-star consensus prospect across the board. Uh, Said these guys come in, they develop, they get bigger, they show off their talent, and they play. Darius Philon, I remember him. I think he actually came out of state of Alabama. Wasn't that highly recruited, but was considered by most of the high schools in the state, and was ranked by the state's best players and whatnot. But didn't have a lot of ratings. But he's a consensus three-star prospect, rival scout, ESPN 24/7, coming out to be one of the better players on the Arkansas defense. Then you going into the 2013 recruiting class. This name will sound definitely familiar. I believe this is last year in Arkansas this past year. But Dan Skipper, offensive tackle, left tackle, actually 6'10" guy. Had developed a bit coming out of high school, but he was a three-star prospect across the board. Ended up being Arkansas starting left tackle for the past 3 years, playing great football for them, holding up well for Brandon Allen and Austin Allen. Drew Morgan. Starting receiver, a player to watch. He's been an impact player for Arkansas over the past couple of years, maybe 3 years. And get this, he was a 3-star according to Rivals. He was a 2-star according to Scout, a 2-star according to ESPN, and a lot of other sites do this too. But I actually wrote their ranking down because it was so low. He was ranked the number 232nd receiver in the entire nation for that recruiting class. Ended up being better than most of those guys from that class, starting for Arkansas and getting a chance to shine and doing his job. But he was rated a 2-star prospect and a 2-star according to 24/7 as well. And then you got Brooks Ellis, starting linebacker for Arkansas, tough, hard-nosed guy, always in and running play, ready to stop the plays and does his job well. Not the most talented guy, but he wasn't rated that high. 3-star prospect across the board outside of ESPN, who was a 4-star, but he's a low 4-star. So not much was expected from this guy either, but he comes out, starts for Arkansas line, and does a great job commanding the defense. Even though the defense wasn't the greatest, they were able to overachieve. They were able to get their job done. They were able to, like I said, hang with teams like LSU and Arkansas and Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss, and teams like that. Even though you weren't expecting much based on their recruiting rankings and where they've been ranked in the past. Then you got the 2014 class, guys like Sebastian Chitola, who was a starter on his offensive line coming out of a JUCO school, I believe, transferring over. 3-star prospect across the board, and I believe he was a guard, maybe left or right guard, I can't remember at the moment. But he wasn't rated that high. Developed really well, showed off his talent, and ended up being a great member of the Arkansas offensive line. You have Jared Cornelius, who's an Arkansas receiver as well. I believe he's in the slot, but he was consensus 3-star prospect across the board. Although he was very productive for Arkansas, 3-star according to Rivals, 3-star according to Scout. He was rated the number 214th receiver in the nation by ESPN. And it's funny that I keep mentioning ESPN's rankings of these guys. They seem to be the most wrong on these on the guys that are low in the rankings. And then also, of course, 24/7 Sports with a 3-star. And Josh Liddell, a starting safety for Arkansas past year, 2-star according to Rivals, 2-star according to Scout, 3-star according to ESPN, and 3-star according to 24/7 Sports. So starting guys, 2-star, like I said, he's one of those guys who just got a ranking, probably because they saw him, but didn't think much about him, didn't think to send anyone else to kind of watch him a little bit more, get more film on him. And then Santos Ramirez at safety, another guy, got consensus 3-star, starting safety for Arkansas. Like I said, it's interesting just to see what happens. They'll see a guy and they'll just kind of like tag on a little or rating here or there. And a lot of these guys end up being some of the better players. And they make a very formidable team. They're coachable, they learn, they develop, they have talent. And it's interesting that most of the players in the NFL aren't the highly rated guys. It's end up being 3-star, unranked guys a lot of times. So it's really interesting to see that. But yeah, Arkansas, I figure, will be a great example of this, and it turned out to be right by looking at this list, and they make up a lot of the starters over the last few years for Arkansas, and even on this past team in this year. So it just goes to show there's a lot to go into recruiting, and we have to look deeper into it. And don't get so caught up in the rankings. Just know that the development of players comes down to more than how they were ranked and rated coming out of school. How the coaches are going to get these guys to perform to the best of their ability. How they're going to develop. Are they going to hit the weight room? Are they going to stay out of trouble? There's just so much that goes into this. And Arkansas is a great example of this as they pull these guys up from out of nowhere, 2-star, 3-star, unranked, and make great teams every year. So thanks for paying attention. Arkansas fans, if you have even more examples of guys, put them down in the comment section. Let me know what about. I want to know more. I want to know what you guys think about guys like Dan Skipper, Drew Morgan, Brooks Ellis. Let me know what high schools did they come from, what region were they from, what allowed them to get overlooked. Because these things are important. It's important that we see more kids get the exposure that they need, especially ones that can afford the camps and like driving all over the place and travel. It's become a really cool subject that I want to keep talking about and to keep exposing to more and more people, especially the media and just different people, so they will see the mistakes that can be made in overlooking prospects. So thanks for paying attention. I'll see you for the next video.